it feels so amazing to get the kind of love and even critical response for our show.
I get very anxious before any kind of release. Extremely anxious. I can't sleep. My hunger and all goes for a complete toss.
I really enjoyed my arguments with Girish Kulkarni. He's such a fine actor.
I was most excited about acting opposite Kulbushan sir. Like, you know, especially after watching him in Mirzapur.
I binged watched the show on Sunday and I tweeted immediately and Shriya responded to that immediately as well. So I was like very excited because you all left me on cliffhanger. So why did that happen, first of all? But before that, I just wanted to ask you guys, since the show dropped on Friday, what are the responses you guys are getting? And how are you dealing with this? Because it feels like it's overwhelming. The courtroom drama is doing so well. So what are your thoughts and everything? Tell me about it. Like from what has happened since Friday.
Phone hasn't stopped ringing. I'm constantly just replying to messages and, like Varun said, taking calls. It feels so amazing to get the kind of love and even critical response for our show. You know, there are so many things we did which we wanted, subtle things which we wanted people to take note of, to acknowledge, and there's so much subtext in the show. So when you see people discussing that or appreciating, you know, all these little elements, it just feels great. So I think as a team together, we're just feeling grateful, excited, and just like,
Please go ahead, Varun, you tell me.
Sums it up really well, actually. It's been overwhelming. I don't know. We all, of course, were expecting and hoping for the show to do well. But to get this kind of a response, and I get very anxious before any kind of release. Extremely anxious. I can't sleep. My hunger and all goes for a complete toss. But we started with some of the reviews that came out, and then just the messages started pouring in, and such long messages, and like everybody who was calling wanted to talk about it and, you know, tell their opinion about it, or which character they connected with, and, you know, the little nuances. Oh, maybe this you could have done here. This. So they've watched it in such detail, and like Shreya said, that it's a dream for any of us to have done something which is watched so carefully. And you know, like, I mean, every single person I know has watched the show and they have binged it, and it's just a great feeling. I mean, I put up a post also. I've just been sitting in my boxers at home and eating ice cream and watching and reading all the messages. So it's been great. That's why now I'm having hot water.
Also, what feels really nice is that, like Varun said, you know, because there are different cases, people have different opinions on the verdicts, the judgments, because they're also feeling like, okay, if I was the judge, what would I do? And they have so much to say about every character. So I think that feels really good. The show is also being discussed just beyond acha tha ya acha nahi laga. You know, there's conversation, and that's what we wanted, for the show to start a conversation. And I think that's exactly what's happened.
The 10-episode courtroom drama, it's like one of my favorite genres to watch in general. So last year I watched a K-drama which was very much on similar lines, but I was waiting for something similar to come in India. So it was pretty nice to see. And for some reason, I had not watched a trailer because I just wanted to dive into it without knowing what it was. So there's that. But there were so many episodes and so many appearances of some of the celebrated actors. I was surprised by, because I was not expecting that to happen. And you guys had to be in court with them. So I just wanted to get an idea of was there one star you guys were like starstruck by, where like, oh, this is the monologue I'm going to do with this actor, or this actor I'm going to be challenging in the court, or something like that?
I was most excited about acting opposite Kulbushan sir. Like, you know, especially after watching him in Mirzapur, I have lapped up Mirzapur like anything. And so the first, I was a little nervous about meeting him also. Like, he's got such a crazy presence even in person. And I remember we went to his house and we had a reading because I'm supposed to have a really nice sort of loving relationship with him and a long relationship with him. So Shefali really wanted that we sort of got along before we started shooting. And we went there, and just before we were going to start doing the reading, he has a parrot, and
Okay.
that parrot started yackling, and he wouldn't stop yackling. So so Kulbushan sir said, देखो अभी थोड़ा 10-15 मिनट वेट करना पड़ेगा कि जब वो बोलना बंद करेगा तो हम फिर रीडिंग सेशन स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं. So those 15 minutes that we had in sort of silence, drinking our tea, that sort of kind of took care of the, you know, little uneasiness which I had in my body. And I think the scenes that, now that you watched it, the scene that I enjoyed with him the most was there's a scene in which in his office he interrogates me, sort of asking me that did you go behind my back and did you do something? Because that's such a turning point for Deepak, for someone who's been a different kind of guy, without revealing too much to whoever watches this, that the switch like had to come really like smoothly. And I remember me and him rehearsed the scene 3-4 times, and actually the whole thing was shot in one take. So it was a really beautiful moment to share with an actor like that, you know, where I think we both just bared ourselves completely to the moment. And when that happens, it's so lovely.
What about you, Shriya?
I was actually lucky to be in court with quite a few wonderful actors. I really enjoyed my arguments with Girish Kulkarni. He's such a fine actor, and in contrast to how Kashyap is, he is much more laid back, almost laughing at me, you know, and I think that was a very sort of nice thing. And even with Kulbushan sir and Mirzapur, I never got a chance to work with him, although we were part of the same universe. But I really liked my episode 7, the arguments that we had about the case, the public private security case.
Right.
So that was really nice.
Yeah, because that's a long monologue you both had to do. And it's a very difficult scene throughout to like completely cater to the audience. You kind of have to see that she's someone who's very into this case while he's coming after with a different perspective. It was such a brilliant scene to watch as a viewer.
You know, it's actually, now that after I watched it, that's one of my favorites. Like, I really enjoyed watching even that, because we shot this so long ago, Monica, that even our memory of what it was like is blurry. So
episode 7.
When we're fighting.
Yeah.
So that was really nice. I really enjoyed that. But to be honest, you know, it's hard to pick, because I also enjoyed my scenes with Shakti sir. I enjoyed with Suchitra ma'am. I really got a chance to, you know, go head to head with a lot of these people. And it made it so much more fun and exciting just to sort of create those dynamics.
Let me put this out, because like Deepak is someone who has a trajectory where he is someone as a lawyer, he's someone different. By the end of the season, he's something else altogether. He's also trying to find himself in this. I feel like that as a viewer, versus Kashyap feels every case from her heart. So it was such a drastic, like the friendship is very different. In court, they are very different. So when the workshop started versus when the first scene you had to perform, what was that like working with each other? And what was it like working from 1st to 10 episodes? Because I'm sure you did not shoot everything back to back, but it was like back and forth. So I just wanted to get an idea, what was it like? Because you all had like great camaraderie, but also like going off on the cases in court. So I was very much enjoying that the rapport that you guys had. So what was it like?
So this is actually something that Shreya had said a while back. She said that, you know, me and her had known each other just the right amount before we started shooting for this. We had met each other socially, and we'd had a meal together once, and like there was familiarity, but there was not too much of it. So I think me and her were able to sort of lay the groundwork of our relationship as Deepak and Kashyap really without any other layers which were present over there. That always helps as in a performance or in a sort of banter between the two people. And there was so much written for Deepak and Kashyap in terms of their history, their court dynamics, their interpersonal dynamics, their friendships, what they've been through. He's loved her or she's loved him, or what the situation is, that even in our silences, there was something going on. And when there was not something going on as Deepak and Kashyap, there was something going on as Varun and Shriya. You know what I mean? So there was not like an empty moment for us when we were, I would say, either on screen or even off screen. That's what sort of made it interesting. And of course, we shoot the whole thing in a non-linear fashion. So we have to know exactly what the story is, exactly what the graph is. And me and her, I think, had lived it so much that it didn't matter that it was being shot in a non-linear manner. And I think we really lived it, which is what made it interesting. She was living it as her character. I was living it as my character. And sometimes the worlds would sort of open up, come together, and sometimes they would be apart. So the whole mix of it was quite fantastic, if I must say so myself.
Yeah, I also really enjoy. In fact, after I binge watched everything, I called up Varun and I said, Deepak, Kashyap, chemistry is fire. Sometimes when you're doing it yourself, you don't, you get a sense of it, but it's only when you're watching it as an audience do you understand how palpable it is. And I feel like I really enjoyed watching Kashyap and Deepak and their dynamic and how that evolves. And there's a constant tug of war and ebb and flow, which is beautiful. And like Varun said, it's really been effortless for us. And sometimes that's hard, but luckily in our case, we just had a lovely rhythm. We knew when to give each other space. Thankfully, we both are very prepared actors. So we did not trouble each other in terms of that, because sometimes you might work with an actor, say, who doesn't come very prepared. So then you're just doing takes for lines or anything like that. So with Varun and I think we were a little too much extra, like in character all the time. And I think our friendship as Kashyap and Deepak trickled down into our closeness as Shriya and Varun. Usually it's the other way around, but for us, it was like that.
I was speaking to Pranay yesterday, who plays Shubhrat in the show. And he's also one of the reasons I actually watched the show, because I've known him for a couple of years. So, he told me that you guys had started shooting pre-pandemic, and then 9 months later, you had to dive into this character again, because obviously it was a lockdown and everything else. So was it difficult to just immediately go back to the character that you all had already shot for some time? Or was it easy now that you kind of knew, or did you come with a new perspective for this character?
See, I don't think we were able to ever switch off, because it was being shot in bits and pieces. Like, you can imagine my second day of the shoot in Delhi was my confrontation with my uncle. I went into it immediately. So after 12 days of shoot, lockdown happened. And then again, once it opened, we started shoot again. And then again, lockdown happened. So mentally, I personally never switched off. But I feel like in that process, we all of the actors got comfortable with each other. We got more comfortable with the director, with the team. So I think it just worked in our favor. And it also personally gave me time to sit with the material a little more, than I had earlier. So I don't think of it as negative, but yes, there was this anxiety ki kya show khatam ho payega theek se, because everything was so uncertain. See, when something eventually comes out well and the way it does, everything that happens in the journey, you look at it positively, even the bad things. So right now, nothing feels like ye kyun hua, wo kyun hua, because everything that's come out has been received so well, and that this journey has come to such a beautiful completion in a way that I'm just happy with the way it all sort of panned out.
You know what happens is that when we get a scene for an audition, we sit on it, we try to break it down, and we try to figure out what the character is, and we're racking our brains and we're pacing up and down as to what is going on with this character and all. And usually you don't come up with the right answers in the daytime when you're actively working on it. It's when I go to bed and I'm lying on my pillow and I'm not thinking about the characters, when the ideas and when the brain starts opening up to what this world is or whatever. So that 8-9 month period was like that, lying down on the pillow, where everything that we have read and everything that we had sort of discussed with Shefali, discussed with each other, the dynamics, the relationships, they all sort of just sunk into the body, you know? So I would say that I enjoyed the gap which happened.
Because, you know, sometimes when you, like Varun said, when you sit with that character for that long, get bored with that character, get anxious with that character, get angry with that character, you're in love with that character, when all of these emotions settle is when you also relax into yourself and find new things. Sometimes when you have too much excitable energy within you, it can look like you're trying too much. So I feel like with us, we just got really comfortable in the process as being our characters, and even got more comfortable with the director. So eventually the hunger and the drive was so much more to, you know, make it happen.
Before I wrap up, I just wanted to get an idea. If at all the season 2 gets announced, what do you think your characters would be going ahead with, and what are the kind of stories that you would like to explore as what do you think your characters are going? Because like first of all, you're left as a cliffhanger.
Obviously, you think we would give you the whole story.
Where do you want it to go?
Yeah.
Where would you want Deepak and Kashyap to go?
I genuinely want them to work this out somehow, because I was like so invested in them. Like, no, everyone was waiting for that to happen. And eventually, like, no, this was not the time for him to admit everything.
Exactly. Deepak, why did you have to choose that moment?
I'm such an honest guy, guys.
the one time. You chose the wrong time.
Yes, and I was like, he waited one time to happen.
If I'm starting a relationship, then it has to be on a clean slate.
Right. Suddenly it was like this guy. So what do you think? What do you think your characters would go forward in season 2 like?
I don't know. I have no idea. Of course, I think there's so much change which has happened for everybody, not just the two of us. Like there's a arc for everybody now. I think the arc will just go upwards. Like, you know, Deepak is not just now running behind money. He has started taking on and helping people, and it's gone beyond money for him. Even for Kashyap, there's this whole
family
drama which has happened with the family. The drama which has happened with Deepak. So I think they're all going to have to be with themselves for a while, and then sort of figure out. And when I say be with themselves, that be with themselves is going to happen while the writers are writing. So then later on, when the episode starts, it'll again start with some action.
Yeah, I think I would like to see how Kashyap's equations, not just with Deepak, but also with her family, because it's gotten really intense. Her trust is broken in so many ways. So to sort of see that, and also how, because right now her trust is broken at every angle, I think that will be very interesting. But our writers, we don't know how, what, if, when. We have no answers at the moment. We are also waiting to have all of these answers.
Right. So before I say goodbye, I just want to say, Shriya, you've been working for a very long time. So I'm so glad that everyone is recognizing your work in many good ways. And
thank you.
You've been in the industry for so long, and everyone gets that one role where everyone gets recognized for. I think Deepak is for you. And I'm so glad that, because the moment I watched it, I'm like, dude, this guy is a star, man. He's a star. So it's like kind of nice to see that happen. So congratulations on Guilty Minds.
Thank you.
Congratulations everything, and I hope we hear season 2 very soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.